This is the Technique handpiece. I got this on eBay with the 8th collet, and it looked like it was in pretty good condition, and it's in alright condition, from what I can tell. I've never used the new one, but it's got a pretty good quick change here with the 8th collet. I like the 8th, and you can really get way in close to the bit there. It's real straight. I noticed that when it gets at a slow RPM, though, it kind of rattles a little bit, but I think that's the spring mechanism there, and once it overcomes it does just fine. So that's probably like 3 or 4K RPM. Pretty smooth. There's not a lot of vibration in it or anything. Anyhow, it has an adjustable collet, and it took me a while to figure out how to do that because I couldn't find any videos on YouTube. So I'm gonna go ahead and post a bit on that here. So you can take the back off here, and that will let you clean in here if there gets grease. When I got this, it was just packed full of grease from old flex shafts, and it barely even turned. It did work, but not well. And then I need to adjust the collet because it was pretty worn, just because it's been used. So you need to take this little screw off here on the quick release. Make sure you find a large blade screwdriver, the biggest one you can fit in there all the way, or you'll probably mar this up. So I'm gonna unscrew that. And it's got a little washer. You gotta make sure you don't lose the washer. And I think the newer one's similar, but they just changed the design of this release a little bit. And I did put some oil in there because it was a little bit crusty. So you need a socket. This is a 8mm. This fits just fine in here. So this unscrews, and I noticed that it's pretty tight, so you can turn here and that'll loosen this up a bit. Now it's easier to turn. I can almost turn it by hand. This is aluminum, so you don't want to put too much force into it. You might break the body here. These are just threaded into aluminum. So then after that's out, this is like a little, what do you call it? It's like a little locking nut that turns in here. I forget what it's called. So then you're in, and I think this is the way they mill it. It didn't look like it's worn. It's like filed, so I don't know quite what that is, if it's damaged or working as intended. It seems to work just fine, so I assume that it's normal. Anyhow, if you look in here, there's a little tiny hole in this where you can slide in a pin. So I'm just going to stick this old screwdriver in here. And then you need another screwdriver that you can actually fit inside the collet opening. There's a flathead screw in the back, and you turn it, it's going to open, it's going to unlock this collet, and if you take it out all the way, you can pull the collet out. I'm just going to adjust the collet here a little bit to get it a little looser because I over tightened it. Then you tighten it up. Once you get the collet, the collet's threaded, so you can just thread it in or out, and then there's another screw that locks it in at the desired depth. So you pull that out, and you can clean in here. There's like a little brass, I think it's brass, ring in there. And this doesn't really take any of the rotation there. It spins off of this bearing. And then there's another bearing in the tip here. And then there's another bearing back here at the very back. So pretty easy. When it goes back together, it's a little tricky because this, and mine at least, doesn't line up. So I gotta unscrew this until this is right in the middle, and then put this little nut back in. And you gotta keep it turned a little bit. Very tedious here, because I gotta keep it in the channel. Turn this here. There we go. That's all the way in. And then just a light tension here to cinch this up. Just barely tightened it. And then make sure you put the little wing on the right way. So that's going to open it. So I want that this way. And then closed. Put the washer here. Screw this in. And again, just use the right screwdriver. You need a few tools to modify just the collet. That's a little annoying, but don't have to do it often. Easier than having to buy a new collet, which is the case with most of them because the collets are so small and they're not adjustable. And just a little bit light tension to lock it in there. Screw this back in all the way, and then can test this. This is actually going to be a little loose right now because the pressure from these threads lock the bearing in there, so you need this in. Hand tighten all this. So go ahead and open it, put it in there, and that's in there pretty good now. It's not over tight like it was a minute ago. And of course you have the quick release. If you need to take the ball off, you can turn this to clean it or whatever. Just like on any, pretty simple. I'm sure there's a way to take it apart further inside to replace the springs and service them, but I just went in there with a Q-tip and cleaned out the grease. So there we go, almost like new. Just need to line it up. So much better than the other hand pieces I had. So much better than this one. I love the quick chain there. Can't beat it. It's pretty light in the hand. It's lighter than the 30. It's a little heavier than the 28, but it's so much better.